Hi there. I'm Sharon Knight. I'm President and CEO of Hope Communities, and I am doing this show to check in on you. Probably most of you know that Hope Communities has affordable housing communities across Denver. We've got Hidden Brook in the East Colfax area, the Gardens in Northeast Park Hill, the Carrollton Arms, and Welton Homes at the Point in Five Points. We have about 280 apartments, and we serve a lot of amazing families who live in those apartments, but also people in the broader community. We regularly have programs and services that are needed and suggested by the residents that we serve, and also resource navigation. And a lot of what we do is build community. From the beginning, when we started 40 years ago, we were all about building community and helping us to be more connected. And so at a time like this, when many of us cannot really connect very well because of this pandemic and our quarantines, we thought it was important to check in on you. So we're doing a little experiment, and I have to admit I'm a little nervous about this, but we're doing a little bit of an experiment with Facebook Live. We're planning to have sessions on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 o'clock, maybe for about half an hour. And we'd like to share information about Hope Communities, information about the virus, resources that will be available to people to help you get through this, maybe some inspiration, maybe some fun things or some wellness things for you to do so that you stay strong and healthy and happy through this time. We know that a lot of people are feeling a little isolated because of the social distancing that we have to enact. And I am in my office now because we're considered an essential business, but a lot of people cannot be in their office and they can't be around people, so you're isolated. And we just want to make sure that you know that someone is there for you, and that if you have any questions or comments or you need some resources, that Hope Communities is there to help you. So in this Facebook Live format, if you look at the bottom of your screen, there's a comment section, and you will be able to do comments throughout the sessions that we're having, or ask questions. If I can answer questions right then, I will. And if it's something that I don't have time for or I don't know the answer to, then I can get back to you with those answers. So we might want to just take a little bit of a break here just for a second. For people who are not used to using this format, if you would sign in the comment section, maybe if some of you would just say, hi, this is Sharon, I've joined, or Tom is joining now, or something like that, so that we can make sure, I can make sure that this feature is working and that you get a little practice trying that out. So I'm going to be quiet just for a second. I want a few people just try to do that comment section and sign in. Well, we're not getting a lot of people signing in yet. That's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to go public with those. And I think there might be a little bit of a lag anyway with those comments catching up to me. But please, at any time, if you have questions, you can write them in there. And also, we will have we have an email that you can send questions to. Again, it's comments about the session that we're doing, questions that you have about resources, maybe something that you need or that you have to offer to others who might be in need. The email is info@hopecommunities.org. info@hopecommunities.org. And we also might lead people to our website. There are a lot of resources on there. And as things evolve with the COVID virus, we actually have a tab at the top of our webpage that says COVID-19, and there are lots of resources there that can maybe help you out during this time. Let me just hold up for a second, though, the website again and the email again, so you can take a look at it. Hopefully you could read that. We'll put that up again. Again, the website is hopecommunities.org. So we said we're going to do a lot of different things, and hopefully we will help you to feel brighter during these times that we're connecting. One of the things I'll share right now is a quote that I like. It's, "A hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles." Christopher Reeves said that. And I know that people are feeling like these are big obstacles that they have to overcome, and that there's a lot of things that are unknowns. And I would suggest that there is a little hero in each of us, and that we will find a way to get through this. We at Hope want to help you to do that, but I know you have other people who could also do that for you. And it might be a good time for us to dig deep into our own psyches to figure out, what are the things that we can do to make our life more positive. There's lots of wellness things out there, but also just thinking about, what are some of the things that we may have wanted to do our whole life. I saw somebody put something on Facebook the other day that said, "I always used to say I would clean my house a lot better when I had time. And now that I have time, I realize that just wasn't the problem." And, there's lots of people who have said that they want to write books, and there's lots of people who want to get more fit, and there's lots of people who want to learn how to cook. This might be a time to do that. So instead of focusing on all the negatives, and I know there are a lot of obstacles, I think that we can also try to do some deep reflection and find some things that could actually be better for us. And if you come up with some of those things that are making you feel better, share those with us, and we can share those with other people. And if you have other inspirational quotes that you think would be great to share, let us know that too. We really would love to hear from you. Well, Stephanie and Tom and John, thanks for joining us. It's great to have you here too, as well as Gwen and Jamie. Hopefully we'll get a whole lot more people joining. So I want to review some of the protocols around the COVID-19. So of course, we've talked about social distancing, and that means that people should be at least 6 feet apart. It's kind of tough for people who have been pretty social in the past. But if you go to the grocery stores now, they actually have tape on the floor that helps you understand what 6 feet looks like. And if you're out and about, and I hope you get out for some walks or something, another way to kind of figure that out without a tape measure is that if you hold your arms out like this, your whole arm span from one tip to the other tip is close to 6 feet. Mine is not quite 6 feet, but it's kind of that. So if you're out and you're trying to figure out what is 6 feet, what is safe for me, that might be one thing that you can use as a simple measure. The other thing, of course, that we've heard again and again is that we have to wash our hands really carefully. And I say it's like washing a hand, and I've seen this lots of times already, washing your hands like a surgeon. So I kind of feel like I could be ready to assist in surgery at any given time because I'm washing my hands so many times a day. But, like doing like this, but also like this, and spending at least 20 seconds. If you're in a place where you have automatic soap, I actually get 2 and then really rub them really, really well so that it's all clean. Also, we're supposed to be really disinfecting things. So some of us have disinfectant wipes, some of us have not been able to do that. Washing your hands thoroughly or washing things in the different soaps that are really, really good in terms of antibacterial soaps could also be helpful. I personally am taking a lot of precautions. I fall within one of the categories, at least, of vulnerability. And so even when I'm using the microwave, I will use a Lysol wipe, and I will do this before I touch the microwave. I'll do it after I touch the microwave. I'll clean the surface by the microwave. And it seems a little overkill, but this is getting pretty serious. So if you think you're going overboard, probably that's okay. What I heard the other day too by someone is that in office spaces, if you sit down in a chair, that the arms of the chair are places that kind of gather the virus, and they stick in the fabric a little bit more. So if you can get the Lysol, you might want to do that and just spray that once in a while to make sure that you're all set. Now, in an apartment building, like many of our places, you are going to have to really work hard to get the 6 feet distance apart, but I know you can do it. There's actually not a lot of traffic out in the corridors these days. And in the elevators, I think it's important to not be touching a lot of things or not to touch the rails going down the stairs, just because even though in my office I can clean the rails every day, not everybody can do that in a whole apartment building. So touching things as little as possible. And then after you're walking through, of course, if you can, to have some kind of a hand sanitizer to put in there so that you can clean your hands afterwards. Again, it kind of feels like a lot, but I think it's really, really important that we do that and keep after that. So let's, I also, when we talk about social distancing, you know, when this started, people used to say, don't shake hands, let's bump elbows. Well, that's kind of hard to do if you're 6 feet apart. So I think we need to come up with something better than that. I mean, maybe some kind of code that we can start, or something that we start the trend here and everybody else does it. So I don't know, maybe like, hey, or something like that. Just come up, tell us what you think we could do, because we want to be friendly. We don't want people to feel like they're really isolated and nobody is even there. And sometimes when you're walking down the street, or at least I've experienced this, if I'm taking a walk down the street or in the park, and I come up to somebody and they take a wide angle out, and sometimes I take the wide angle out to make more space, it kind of doesn't feel great. It feels like maybe people don't want to be by you, but it really is the best thing. And so if we can somehow come up with something that says, hey, I see you, I like you, you're great, but I'm staying away from you so that we're both safe. So I'd love to be able to come up with something. So I know we got a lot of creative people listening. Let me know what you think. In terms of walking, it really is important to get out. I think whether if you are able to go for a walk, that's great, to go to the parks or to walk around town, any of those things. And if you're not, I really encourage you to do some things in the apartment that you're in. And I know we may have other people listening, but I'm primarily speaking to the people who live with us. I think doing something in place, whether it's walking in place or marching in place, doing some yoga. It could be the time that you finally decide that you want to do yoga. You also, if you can't get to the gym, obviously, because they're closed, you could also use simple things around the house, like these water bottles, and just lift them up. These are pretty light, so anybody can do it. And then if you can use heavier weights, just to be able to do that for biceps or something with triceps like that. We can do some things that are more exercise related later to give you some tips on that, but we've got to get creative about how we stay in shape and how we keep our spirits up. So I'm just going to be sharing some different things like this on our live camera show. So if anybody has joined a little bit late, my name is Sharon Knight, and I am President and CEO of Hope Communities, and we are just trying to help connect with you so that you don't feel like you're alone and that you have a resource for all kinds of information. So let me tell you a little bit about what's happening at Hope and some of the questions that we've gotten so far. Are we open? Yes, we are open for business. We are adopting the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, and then the state recommendations for social distancing. So while our employees are working, and believe me, they are working really hard to try to meet the needs of all of our residents, they're not always in the office. So some people, quite a few people are working from home. Some people are working in the offices, but they're not open for in and out traffic. And certainly if we are able to make an appointment, which we will have some, we're going to ask people to use some of the social distancing procedures. So to keep that 6-foot distance, to have only 1 or 2 people in the office at a time, to use hand wipes and things like that, because we want our residents to be safe and we want our employees to be safe. And we're going to try to model all of these things that we are asking you to consider doing. It is your life. You have control over how far you jump into this, but the virus is getting pretty darn serious. And so we really want you to think about adopting these safe procedures. So we have, in line with these new procedures at Hope, we have said that for maintenance requests, they should be for emergencies only. And so emergencies only are things like your toilet is overflowing, or your refrigerator is not working, or you haven't had heat for a while, or you haven't had hot water for a while, like a few hours. And so sometimes, hot water will run out a little bit if you use it a lot. So if it goes out like for a second, don't call. But if it's been like all day, for a few hours, then please call, because that's considered an emergency. So we want to try to keep those visits down. And when people come in, and actually when you make a call, because we're going to ask you to call for maintenance, when you make that call, somebody will ask you if anyone is sick in your apartment, and if there's anyone who's been quarantined, just so that they can make sure that they take all the safety procedures that they have to do to keep themselves safe and to keep others safe that they might see later on in the day. So I know that our residents are really, they've been blessed to have our maintenance guys who are very responsive on a typical basis. And so this is going to seem a little bit different, that it's only for emergencies. But if there's something like changing a light bulb or something pretty simple, we're not going to be able to help at this point, just because of all of those procedures. And we'll get back to normal, but this is how it is for just a little while. So I know that people are also trying to figure out what will happen if they lose their jobs. And some people already have. Obviously, the restaurants have closed, and some of the service industry jobs have closed. And so people are getting pretty nervous. There are many organizations, many businesses that are able to keep employees on, and then there are some that have not been able to. So people might be getting a little bit nervous. Hope Communities, as well as one of our partners in Denver, have put a moratorium on evictions for people who are directly affected by the virus. So if the virus caused you to lose your job and you don't have other income and you cannot pay your rent, you don't have to fear that you will be evicted. You don't have to fear that you will have late fees assessed to you, or that we will ask you to pay more during this next month or two, even if you were due for a rent increase, because we're not going to be pushing those things at your most vulnerable time. But we will ask that you demonstrate that you did lose your job for this purpose. And I know I was talking with staff earlier, and some of the people, for instance, who worked in the restaurant and hospitality industries got letters that said that they were furloughed because the businesses had to close down. So if you have something like that, go to talk with the property people, and it could be through email to talk with them or to call them and let them know and demonstrate that you have proof that you have lost your income, and they will work something out with you, probably trying to work out a payment plan, but also to help lead you in the direction so that you can go after, or you can get help from staff to go after getting unemployment, or filing for some of the extra resources out there right now, such as emergency rent assistance or emergency utility assistance. So our staff are ready and able to jump on and help you to get those resources, because it's important to know that even if you are not able to pay your rent maybe the next couple of months, it doesn't mean that bill goes away. And so it's really important for you, and it's really important for us to help you to get the resources to pay your rent and to help pay your utility bills so that you don't have debt. We definitely don't want anybody to accrue a large amount of debt because of this virus, where you had absolutely no control. And we really understand that, and we really want to help. So we're setting up lots of procedures, and there are organizations, for instance, TRUA, who is getting more information and more money for rent assistance. And even internally, we are seeking money from foundations and from donors to try to help people along during this critically and tragic time that we're going through in terms of jobs. So know that we're there for you. You're probably going to have a lot of questions after this conversation about this. Again, there's information about rent and other financial assistance on our website, hopecommunities.org, and click on the COVID-19 tab at the very top of the website, and we will list resources. We will have flyers about housing resources and also procedures related to the virus, not only in English, but in many, many other languages. So at one of our properties, for instance, there are many refugee families who are living there who speak a huge variety of languages. So we do have flyers in those different languages so that they can get sound information. We also have some navigators resource navigators who speak the primary languages of those areas, and they can reach out to individuals with questions. We have been calling each of our residents individually to check on them and see how you're doing. If for some reason you're listening to this and you have not gotten a call and you have some questions or some needs, or you're really worried about something, please feel free to reach out to one of our navigators. All of our contact information for all of our navigators is on the website, and if you go to the main page and then go to the tab that says About Us, there's another click just to get to our team, and it has everybody who is on our staff with a picture, with their name, and with a link right to their email and phone. So you can really get a hold of us. So I wanted to take like another second to talk about the emergency relief. We also have a little bit of utility money that might be available through public resources and also through Hope itself. And so again, ask navigators for that. And we're also working with community partners to get some help with food. We know that there is food insecurity out there, and we've had some drop-offs with food, and we've had some bags. We're trying to be very, very careful with distribution of that so that everything is really sanitized. So it's a little bit different than we normally would have done with our food pantry. But we need to get an idea, particularly because we're doing it a different way, who needs some food. So if you could please do that, use that email, info@hopecommunities.org, to let us know if your family needs some food and if there are certain things that you need. We can't promise we can always get exactly what you want, but we certainly can try to get some help for you, and maybe to get some food that can be delivered to the property so that you can access that. We also on the website have a big list of area food banks and pantries because we just know that it's going to be a difficult time, and that there might be people who have never had to use a food bank, or they haven't been short on food in the past, that might experience it this time. And it's nothing, again, to be ashamed or worried about, because this is happening indiscriminately to a lot of people. But we want you to make sure that you're safe and you have the food that you need. So check out those resources, please. There's also, I just got a notice from a foundation. I'm going to read this. It's on our website again. There's a Sholey COVID-19 Student Relief Fund, and this is a national foundation that is saying that if you go online, and there's a quick link that's on our webpage, if you go online as a family and give a little bit of detail, and it seemed very, very simple, about the circumstance that you're experiencing, that they are making $200 grants to families just to help them out. And they said they can't promise they can go on forever, but it looked like a fairly easy application to get some funds pretty quickly to help your family out in the short term. So there doesn't seem to be a lot of parameters that would restrict people. So if you think you need it, it is, I guess the only parameter that I would say is that it's focused on students or parents of students or grandparents of students, so some kind of connection to kids who might be in school. But other than that, there's not a lot of other criteria to do there. So, we're almost getting to the end of our time. Gosh, it's gone really fast. But a couple more things. I thought that, during this time when you have free time, I don't know what you're doing to occupy yourself, but one of the things that I know I've been able to do more is to read. And I brought a couple of books with me to feature. Now, you may know, if you don't have a lot of books in your house, you might know that the libraries allow you to download a book for free really quickly if you have a library card. Everybody may not have one. I bet they're going to be able to set people up with a library account and card online. So you might check the Denver Public Library for something like that. Also, I do this thing every day. There's an application called bookbub.com, bookbub.com, and you can go on and sign up for the types of books that you like, and they will send you an email every day that has a list of books that you might like, and there's always some on there that are free that you can download for absolutely free. There are others that might be like $1.99 or something inexpensive, but I have downloaded a lot of free books there. So if you're wondering how to occupy your time and you want to read and you don't have a lot of books, that could be one way to get some things that you could look at. I also brought two, just thought I would feature two different Colorado authors. So the first is Diane Mott Davidson. She is a Colorado author who lives near Evergreen, and she does these fun, easy to read books that are murder mystery types, but they're all around a caterer. So the caterer gets into all of these different issues and has to help to solve the mystery. But it's just really fun and really light. And I'm sure that these could be easily found at the library and probably also at bookbub.com for free. The other one that I'm just going to talk about today is John Shores. This author, comes from Boulder, and he actually is one of the founders of Ground Floor Media. People may know him, but this is an interesting book because the premise is World War II, and there's a shipwreck, and there's an American hospital boat, and then some Japanese soldiers, and of course they are supposed to be sworn enemies, but stuck together. They begin to know each other as individuals and realize that while they are sworn enemies in terms of their countries, that there are similarities. And I think that's it's really well written, but I think it's also really a relevant book for us in this time when there seems to be, maybe even more sometimes some discrimination or some angst between different groups of people who are in our society. And it's something that I think deserves reflection. If we looked internally and tried to reach externally to people that we don't normally talk with or we don't know much about, and learn to understand them as people, we might see more similarities than we ever would if we didn't take those few minutes to do it. And we had a young lady in our girls empowerment group, Samira, who really brought that home for me. She was from Ethiopia, and this group was for refugee teen girls. And after she had come a couple of weeks, she told me that she was very nervous about going there because there were all these people from all over the world, and they spoke different languages, and they had different customs, and she thought it would be really weird to be around them. And what she found after just a couple of weeks was that there were way more similarities between them than there were differences. And it changed her whole world. And I'm thinking that if all of us could have that kind of discovery process, that it would help all of us in the end to be more connected. And again, that's one of our main goals, is to help build community, to help to connect us. And hopefully this show has helped you a little bit to feel connected. And please, please, please write to us at info@hopecommunities.org. Go on our website, call us. You have all of our numbers on that website. Let's keep connected. Like, we don't want you to be alone. And we hope that you will also reach out to others. So have a really great weekend. Thanks for joining.